Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan. I've been a trader and technical analyst for the last 13 years. In this video, we're going to check in on the broader market as the semiconductor sector led by NVDA continues to dump. Where's money rotating to? Is this the top of the market being set? A lot of Bitcoin weakness as well. We'll go over what our expectations are for the rest of the week and the key things that we're going to be looking at. All right, so to carry over the theme from last week, it was we know NVDA is way overheated. We know it's the most important stock in the market. When it tops out, is the market going to pull back with it in its entirety and money's going to be leaving the market, or is it going to be rotating around to some of the other weaker sectors? And we'll dissect that answer a little bit as we look at each individual sector, but so far, bulls are liking where we stand. You can see ES for me, my short-term guide for the futures charts. If daily EMA 12 is support, bulls don't have a thing to worry about. And we're testing that daily EMA 12 right now on both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ is right there. Obviously, the NASDAQ has been pulling back more with the semiconductor weakness because it is more significantly impacted. But you look at where SPY stands, and SPY did close at the low of the day, but we could say that it was the all-time high close as of 4 trading days ago. And so you look at NVDA, and over the last 4 trading days, NVDA is currently down 13% from where it was. So for you to say that the S&P 500, if you told me that NVDA is going to drop, 18% from its all-time high, and the broader market is going to be down, the S&P 500 is going to be down 1.2% from its all-time high, maybe a little bit more than that. At this point, it's 1.5%. I would say that's a win for the bulls because we are not seeing money fleeing the market. We are seeing it rotating around. Look at XLF. XLF, ever since NVDA has topped out for 3 days here, has had, well, even before that, it's had some nice bullish action. So all in all, this is what bulls want to see. The narrative for the breadth bears, the bears that have been saying it's only a few stocks bringing up the market, they want to see NVDA pulling back and all major sectors going with it. And if NVDA is 18% off its high, then the NASDAQ is 5% off its high. And we're not seeing that at this point. Things can obviously change, but right now this is a win for the bulls, in my opinion. The next big information that we're going to be looking for is, number one, we're looking for a bounce in these semiconductors, just because it's been a big time drop. And for me, I've been patiently waiting here where to start the day, I was watching, do I want to play a bounce? And I was just not seeing what I was looking for. Aggressive semi-bulls are scouting hourly oversold bounces today. I'm holding out. I'm not looking for a bounce in semiconductors today. I was watching the rotation elsewhere in IWM. Tesla bulls tried to make a move. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But I'm going to be patient and look for a third gap down tomorrow, and then I'll be looking to play that bounce. And we closed weak, and NVDA is down. You can see SMH is down after hours. NVDA is down. So if we get that gap down open, it'll be a third gap down in a row. The 4-hour RSI will be oversold. The hourly RSI will be very crushed. I will be looking for a bounce. I will be buying if we get that gap down open. I may even buy if we don't and play off the low of today as a support level with some wiggle room. I have to see where we stand pre-market. But my style would be making an entry, selling partial into an hourly bounce, and then sticking my stop under the low up to that point. The next bit of information that we're going to get in this market is we know that a daily lower high will be the most likely result of the next bounce. Question number 1, and you can write these down because this is what we're watching for the week. Question 1, what is the bounce retracement size? From where the bottom is found, you can be looking at SMH or NVDA, whatever you want, but from where the bottom is found, is the bounce weak to set a lower high and favoring confirming a bear flag? Is it 50% plus to try and shape up a tightening range? Last time around, we can look at the pullback the first 2 days. It was fairly similar to this time around, and then we went sideways. This obviously is, again, to end last week, once we saw that gap up and bearish engulfing, we could say the top is in for the semiconductors for the time being. And the price action since then has done nothing but affirm that. So again, do we confirm? Can the bears confirm the daily downtrend as the result of the next bounce? If they do, we zoom out. Weekly EMA 12 is then a visual target for us to be watching on both SMH and NVDA. The next question that I have is, all right, we saw XLF and IWM bouncing when semiconductors topped out. Are they going to start pulling back when the semiconductors get a daily oversold or get a shorter term hourly oversold bounce? That's the next bit of major information that I'm watching, because I do have a long IWM swing position anticipating this rotation. We did confirm the daily uptrend in IWM. We have a nice weekly equilibrium, but we're cautious because we know a weekly lower high is the most likely scenario in this equilibrium, and we can keep tightening up a good bit into July. So if the semiconductors bounce tomorrow and IWM heads back down, towards the lows, that's going to be a red flag for me to potentially exit that position. Because again, these bulls, I can't give them any benefit of the doubt. The bulls have to be proving to me that I should be holding a position because they've been weaker for so long. And I'm not going to give them any benefit of the doubt. I'll ditch them if we start to see weakness again. So it's a confirmed daily uptrend. At the moment, it has no follow through. Bears tried to confirm an hourly downtrend into the close, but we'll see how tomorrow goes from here. So bounce in SMH and NVDA. I want a gap down open. I want it to get as crushed as possible right at the open for me to look for my entry. XLF, again, big time bounce. XLF and IWM are testing all-time highs. Today, XLF got within pretty much 1%, just over 1% from the all-time highs. Upper wick, look to the hourly. No red flags on the hourly consolidation. A very big bullish 2 hours to start the day, and then some slow grind consolidation from there. If we lose the hourly uptrend, we zoom out to the daily with the low of Friday as our short-term support. If we lose the daily uptrend without breaking the all-time high, it's a bit of a red flag because that will be a weekly lower high shaping up. Is this a head and shoulders? That's possible. So again, if semiconductors bounce and XLF and IWM get real red, we got to be cautious of some bearish weekly lower highs shaping up in these names. XLV got real close to the all-time high today. It's been battling this resistance. We broke it, didn't close above it, but that all-time high today was 0.5%. And the next, what the bulls want to see to keep the market going strong through the summer is XLF and XLV hitting all-time highs here pretty quickly into the start of July to show us that rotation and that broadening of the breadth of the market. So watching closely. So I know what I'm looking for in the short term tomorrow. I don't know what the other sectors are going to do when the semiconductors bounce. That's a piece of information that I'm waiting for. But overall, we then have to see bears confirm daily downtrends in QQQ and SPY if we're going to follow through. Again, look at where we came from. QQQ just went straight up from this level. We're not at 382 bull flag retracement yet. We can drop another 1% before we get there. So again, the bears have a lot of proving to do in the NASDAQ and S&P 500 if they're going to take some control. If they confirm daily downtrends, we'll zoom out and we'll scout weekly higher lows because there's still a lot of space for those as well. So definitely a shift is underway. The money is rotating around a bit. And at this point, the bulls are liking what's going on while NVDA hits a euphoria top. There's no doubt that's a euphoria top. Is it the top? Can't say. Don't have enough information. Bears have a checklist. They need the daily downtrend to confirm. They need to lose weekly EMA 12. They need to set a weekly lower high as the result of the next bounce. It takes a lot of time. Cannabis sector getting some bounce. So talked about how I re-entered some positions to start last week, and that's going well. Entered GTBIF as the lead bull, confirming the highest price in a month. And TCNNF is the other play for the potential for Florida legalization in the fall, but keeping in mind that a weekly lower high is just the most likely result of this current bounce. We're going to watch the bounce retracement size here. I'm positioned very comfortably, essentially risk-free unless we get massive gap downs, but patiently waiting for more information to see, am I going to let these positions ride and hold them into the fall, or am I going to lock in this profit, this nice 10% plus profit at this point, and look to reposition for a weekly higher low entry? I don't know yet, but going to let it play out, and a really nice day. In my opinion, it's related to the IWM strength this morning. There was also some news that Pennsylvania may get some legalization. going, but a nice day. And pretty much you could say MSOS, this is the most bullish day in 5 weeks. So is it just a one-off, or do we build from here? Again, one day at a time. Bitcoin dumped in a big way. So Bitcoin bulls are now a bit cautious, like a bit uncertain, saying, uh-oh, is that it? Are we done for now? How many months are we going to pull back now? We double topped at the all-time high. We're heading down to the lowest level in 4 months almost. There's space now for a weekly lower high to be the result of the next bounce, just like this time around. And again, you go to the monthly chart, and I forget what the exact data is, but when you have a breakout like this, when the monthly stair step breaks, the last 4 times it's happened, the minimum pullback was, I forget, but a decent amount, 32% maybe, something like that. So again, we got to be watching stair step bear break. So from the stair step bear break, 38% there. This was a little one, 38%. This one was more than that. This one was more than that. So if that were to happen this time around and we saw a 38% pullback, it would be a lot. I mean, we would be looking down at 40,000. So I don't know. We'll see. Bulls are trying to get a short-term oversold bounce going, but we got tons of space for a 4-hour lower high. We've got tons of space for a daily lower high. We've got space for a weekly lower high. Best case for bulls, hold 56.5 and tighten up through July. But they need to put that bottom in real soon. Crypto stocks started the morning real weak. Had a little bit of relative strength in the end of the day. You know, this CLSK, yeah, it's pulling back, but it's not falling apart. So keeping an eye on this sideways range on CLSK. I stopped out of my coin swing position last week. Glad I did with the significant bear follow through. But again, watching for the possibility of a playoff of 194 to look to potentially re-enter. And I did sell a Bitcoin swing position after that double top. And now that I stopped out of coin after a 12% win, I'm willing to get back in on some of this weakness here because I've been trading it well, and I got some profit cushion. So I am playing this Bitcoin bounce, and we'll see how tomorrow goes. The dollar. I'm watching the potential of this 12-hour rising wedge. So we'll see how this plays out. It's not necessarily confirming just yet, but again, this is, the dollar's holding strong here. The dollar is not doing what crypto and metal and stock market bulls want to see. They want to see a big drop to fresh lows here. So it's got to start with that 12-hour rising wedge confirming, and then ideally confirming a head and shoulders from there. But again, one day at a time, because bears are not following through at this point on the dollar just yet. Metals, monthly consolidation may be shaping up. So gold is just sideways here. It's a potential weekly head and shoulders. And both could happen here. We can hold weekly EMA 12 and head back up to all-time highs. We can easily see monthly consolidation. Definitely going to look for a monthly high or low. But again, after the move that we just saw, 20% in a couple of months, definitely possible. And silver set a weekly high or low and then a quick potential lower high. So I don't have clarity on the most likely scenario on the metals in the short term here. Silver is technically still a weekly uptrend, but again, can easily break bear into monthly consolidation. It all depends on the dollar, in my opinion. Definitely putting a good amount of focus on the dollar in the short term here. Other than that, we've got the oil bulls showing up, monthly higher low set. We were looking for it because the equilibrium was the most likely scenario. It's now set. Most important support for me is 72.08. Most important resistance, 79.81. Might as well just say 72 and 80. But if we're going to be confident in follow through, we will need to confirm a weekly uptrend. It's a nice big weekly bounce, but when we top out, we do need that higher low and higher high if we're going to head up to potentially break this equilibrium bullish. And there's a lot of space for that weekly high or low. But keeping an eye out for weekly consolidation sooner rather than later, but no sign of it at the moment. Simple statement, 12-hour EMA 12, if that's support, we're not going to see weekly consolidation. Losing that would be step number one for that to possibly be shaping up. I'm liking the weekly natural gas equilibrium, nice and clear, tightening range, higher low, lower high. You got to adjust for the contract rollover and things like that, but trying to form a weekly higher low, possible we tighten up for the first couple of weeks into July, but bulls are trying to shape up the first weekly uptrend in years in natural gas. So worth paying attention to how that equilibrium breaks if it does indeed continue to tighten up. So I know what I'm looking for tomorrow. We'll see if we get it. Definitely scouting those bounces. What I don't know is a number of things. Number one, I don't know if the metals are going to shape up monthly consolidation. I don't know if IWM and XLF are going to stay inverse to the semiconductors when they do get the daily bounce going. Do these sectors pull back and show some weakness again? Those are the two things that I'm watching most closely. Of course, Bitcoin's trends. And we'll take it from there. I hope you're well. Have a good week. Let's see if we get a third gap down open into a bounce in the semiconductors tomorrow. Do good things. I forgot to look at Tesla, and I said we would. So Tesla started the morning really strong, and I made a market order entry, scaled out into strength, and I've been talking about how tricky Tesla trading is recently, and I've been stopping out break even, and this time around I stopped out tiny green, ensuring I'd get at least a little bit of green, but we started real strong. We rejected right off our equilibrium resistance. Low, high, higher low, lower high, higher low, inside bar, broke bull. We rejected by less than 50 cents from resistance, and we're right back within the tightening range. So most important support, 179.66 is the daily higher low. This is a bit of a fake wick. We didn't get that exact price with today's trading. Just trust me on that. I believe the real high was in the 188.30s. 188.38. That was a little fake wick. How do I know it's fake? I'm on the 5-second chart. Look at the size of the candle. Where's the volume? If you don't have a huge volume candle showing that that price hit that price and then dumped back down, you know it's fake. It didn't happen. We did not get to that level in legitimate trading. But we rejected just under resistance by 40 whatever cents, and it's a clear double top, and everything changed from that point. Relative strength went to relative weakness like that on that resistance rejection. And so the bulls are still struggling to prove to us that a 3-month higher low is shaping up. Still a battle going on, but back to cash and patiently observing again. They're dinky plums because I left a bunch on the tree, too many, so its energy is dispersed. But 3 years later, getting my first plums. And I don't really like fruit, so that's all that I want.